Okay, we are live. Welcome to the live stream today, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a lot to catch up on. I've been away for the last week, as you know. Wow, that video yesterday on China was an eye-opener in many ways indeed. So we're going to talk today about day two of the Trump presidency here, and already the things that are taking place are quite mind-blowing. If you're in the US, you've probably been glued to the TV and know some of the things we're going to talk about. We'll go over the executive orders, we'll go over what's actually happening. But surprisingly, a lot of my European, UK, and elsewhere audience don't seem to know anything that's actually taking place. Some serious things going on in the US. So let's just jump straight into it then. Let's get into it. Firstly, before we even talk about Trump, I was amazed, or well, I wasn't really that amazed, but it still shocked me that after Biden said he wasn't going to issue any pardons and no one's above the law, he issues all of these pardons for his entire family. Well, a lot of his family, shall we say, siblings, Anthony Fauci, and the panel of January 6th. Of course, CNN is one of the worst news outlets in the entire world, as we know. Occasionally, they'll do a good story. I like to get a broad spectrum and look at lots of different news outlets, as you know. Occasionally, they'll do a good story, but absolutely terrible. I'm going to cover some of the stuff they've talked about because it is, even for them, they've exceeded themselves in some of the things they have said that are taking place. So, yeah, these pardons, I just can't believe these pardons that took place. It is absolutely unheard of. It's I just cannot believe the pardons that took place. But anyway, I wanted to start with the mass deportation plan. Now, I've been watching a lot of these experts. This lady here is a professor. She is an expert on US deportation. I didn't even know that was a title. She's a professor of mass deportation, an expert on it. And what really shocked me was I've watched about 7 or 8 of these programs now. I'll play a clip in a second. And they're actually teaching people who are, because remember, again, we've got to clarify something here. These mass deportations that are beginning right now, day one or day two, the left-wing media is saying that they are deporting women and children. Oh, they're targeting women and children. Ladies and gents, that is not true or correct. That is not the target. If you actually read the plans, you look at the executive orders and everything else, they're actually saying they're going to be targeting people who have a criminal record first. They said that's a good start. We're going to go after the people, the criminals first. So we're going to go after the criminals and we're going to deport people who have a criminal record. So that's the first part of the plan. And the reason for that is because of the budget. It will cost billions of dollars to actually do this deportation plan. So don't believe all this stuff you're hearing in the media that Trump's going after women and children and deport. It's like, that's not the plan. If you read it all, that's not the plan. So anyway, all these media outlets are teaching, I've got to show you, they're actually teaching people how to legally get through the loopholes, how to press charges against police or ICE agents that try to deport them. I honestly can't believe this takes place in the USA, where the mainstream media actually teaches people how to, who are illegally there, who are criminals, and they're teaching them how to get out of it. I just can't believe it. Every day, I get more and more surprised by the things going on. So have a listen to this then.
To implement these plans, then the ICE agents themselves could be subject to state prosecutions if they are, arresting U.S. citizens or, otherwise violating people's rights, and they do so with what's called evil intent, in which case people could submit these as complaints to a Cook County prosecutor, and the ICE agents themselves could be subject to criminal prosecution. Again.
Okay, so the first thing there is there's this tactic, because you remember there's different tactics used. They're putting the fear into ICE agents that if they arrest people, they could be prosecuted. So that was one point.
This would be if they're acting outside the bounds of their authority.
If they find themselves in this situation, who
Okay,
might not have the.
So this is where if you're, you're there illegally, you're a criminal, etc., and you find yourself, what can you do?
Wherewithal or the knowledge to file a written complaint or call for help. I mean, is that a real concern there, that people might just be overwhelmed if this indeed comes to fruition?
Right. So in the moment, I mean, obviously people should not be putting themselves at risk for any kind of physical harm. The idea would be that subsequently they could record these kinds of incidents. And so again, it wouldn't be right in that moment. Somebody would have to endure whatever the violations are. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it goes on, and then.
Or no, because we're running out of time. And that is, does the city sanctuary city status offer any legal protection ultimately?
No.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
And I wanted to ask that. So, but before we go, where can people go if they need to get? What do you think is like one of the best resources to get information like this?
Unbelievable.
So I'm not a lawyer.
Yes.
I guess there's a lot of websites that are up right now that.
Where can they go to get info? It's unbelievable. So this was out of NBC actually. So we've got this interview.
We're going to take steps to secure the border.
President-elect Trump's incoming border czar Tom Homan tells us mass deportation will include workplace roundups.
Are we talking around Inauguration Day, even on Inauguration Day?
I'm not going to forecast what we're doing and where we're doing it, but you can count on worksite enforcement coming back.
Will mass deportation?
So we know that this is going to be, and of course the media is an absolute meltdown about a lot of this stuff. They just think that this is it's becoming like 1940s Germany. The way, if you read in the articles, you would think this was 1940s Germany with some of the things that they're saying are going to be taking place. And not all of you will agree with me, of course, but I actually think that this is a good thing, what they're going to be doing, to be actually rounding up criminals that they don't want. They're not contributing to the country. They're committing crimes in the country. And again, we're talking specifically here about criminals, okay? They're in the country illegally. They're not contributing. They're doing crimes in the country. Why would anyone want to stop the government from getting rid of these people? I can't even imagine why that would be the case. I really can't. So they think there's about 11 million people in the US who lack legal status. Again, they said they're not going to go after all of these people. Some of them are contributing to the economy. They're not stupid here, the new cabinet. They know some of the people are contributing to the economy. There's other things. They're saying they're not actually going to be going after these people. It's the criminals they want to, and the gangs, they want to break up the gangs, etc. We had this other statement. It said Democratic city and state leaders across the country have already put in place plans to oppose Trump's plans. In some cases, they've passed all sorts of new ordinances and measures to shield what they call undocumented migrants from his effort to deport them. They will offer any means possible to stop this from taking place. On the flip side, Texas has actually created its own law enforcement power at the border and positions itself to be a key player in this policy to actually help with this going on. And they've passed anti-sanctuary policies as well. Officials have said they'll take on localities that resist Trump's plan, and that the incoming president is considering withholding federal police grants from agencies that decline to aid in the deportation of illegal criminals. They've got all sorts of forecasts on this, but if they were to, they said they can't actually remove everybody because it would cost something like $88 billion. So it's going to be in the billions. So there's a lot of other things that have taken place. I mean, there's so much that's happened that it's going to be impossible to cover it all in one video. But there's all sorts of executive orders, about 80 executive orders that were signed. Again, CNN said this was the most ever in US history that a president has signed. it's not difficult to look this stuff up. It actually wasn't. It was Ronald Reagan that did the most. This stuff is unbelievable. But what else did he do? He withdrew from the WHO. We'll talk about that. I've got an article on it. He's enacted an America First trade policy. Again, the media has said that this is everything from racist towards other countries to illegal. They've really gone after this. But you've got to think about it. A lot of countries are doing this right now. I was just in China, as I mentioned, that video. Gosh, the comments on that video, I'm never going to forget these. I've screenshotted about 70, put them in a special folder because I just couldn't believe some of these comments. I think the funniest one was, no, we won't even go into them all. But I just couldn't believe some of the comments from that video. CCP agent. He's been given a Chinese passport. Oh gosh, some people have got wild imaginations. Oh my goodness. So what have we got then? America First trade policy. Yeah, you think China, they've got a China First policy. You think of a lot of these countries, they're looking after their own. You look where there's success at the moment in a lot of these countries. You look at what they said about El Salvador, and that it was illegal and racist and against human rights. And I still remember that interview when the president said, well, what about the human rights of all these people that are being murdered and taken out of their homes? And, what about the people's human rights? And, I'll never forget when he said that, and the interviewer was completely stumped. Didn't have a clue what to say to that. But again, it's protectionist. It's cleaned up the country. It's actually a country I would consider going to now. I would have never gone there, but it's definitely a country I might consider going to. I know a lot of you have said, Neil, please go to Russia. Go to Russia for us and do a report there. I can just imagine if I did that. The comments would be even worse than going to China for 3 days of tourism. So what else? Yeah, so the trade policy then, America First, I think this is a great thing. Why would you not want your country leader to put you first? Some of the American citizens are upset by this America First policy. I mean, who do you want first? Do you want Mexico first over you? Do you want Canada first? Why you would not want America first, I'm not sure. So all the things then, we've got a sweeping border crackdown. We've got the mass deportation. Again, they're upset. They want to block this new border wall. This is more that the left wants to block the new border wall. They're saying it's not in good keeping with cohesion, or whatever word they used. Bizarre again. He's tasking the US military with aiding border security, issuing a ban on asylum, and taking steps to restrict citizenship for children born on US soil, declaring illegal immigration a national emergency. He wants the Pentagon to provide support for a border wall construction, detention space, transportation, and he wants the Secretary of Defense to send troops to the border as needed. He also wants to reinstate his Remain in Mexico program. So these are people from South America that are claiming asylum status. He wants them to stay in Mexico, and they've even said they'll pay for facilities and everything while their asylum application is reviewed. Why people are upset by that, again, I'm not sure. That seems completely rational and logical. They're even saying he's going to pay for the facilities and everything else for the people. Seems very positive to me. Shortly after the inauguration, border authorities said that within minutes they'd shut down outgoing President Biden's CBP. We talked about this before, One Entry program. So this was an app that helped hundreds of thousands. And again, I'm reading this directly from Reuters here. This was an app which allowed and helped hundreds of thousands of migrants to enter the US by scheduling an appointment on the app. Existing appointments were cancelled immediately, leaving people stunned and unsure what to do. And some of these examples are so ridiculous that I can't even believe they would write these on a media site. So, there's a guy from India. He said that he flew all the way from India. He's got all of his luggage with him. What's he supposed to do now? He flew into Mexico. He's now what's he supposed to do? No comment on that. Biden's One app cancelled just after Trump took office. Some 280,000 people had been logging into the app that day and days before to secure an appointment. You can see how shocked I am at some of this stuff. Another thing Trump said, he's going to end all diversity programs on day one in the first round of the executive orders. He said that there's no longer going to be however many genders. There's going to be 2 genders. He's signing this into law. This was a really bizarre one from CNN that I had the displeasure of reading. I'm not even going to read it all out because it's a horrible article. But it's all about, Trump and comparing him to Hitler, basically. But we'll get into another aspect of this, another part of this. So this is all around the pardons, the January 6th pardons. And again, CNN have outdone themselves because they said, hold on, I've got to find it where it talks about the number of police officers that they said were killed on the day. I think they said it was 5 police officers, 4 Trump supporters, and 5, so 9 people lost their lives on the day of January 6th. Well, the first thing I did was I looked that up because I remember there was one lady that was shot by a police officer. I think we all remember that. She was she U.S. Air Force, retired or currently serving? I think we all remember that took place. It was quite a shocking thing. But these 5 police officers that they say were murdered, I had to look this up. And it's not true. Again, it's not true. So I looked it up, and here's the correct information for you. Here it is. So the police officers, there was one called Brian Sicknick. He was a Capitol Police officer. And he said that he was sprayed with something during I'm reading it out, during the riot. He collapsed and died the next day. The medical examiner later ruled his death was due to natural causes. He had a stroke the next day, but noted that the events of the day likely contributed to his condition. So again, I'm just reading this as it came out. But it says 4 other police officers who were either present or in the vicinity of January 6th died by suicide. So it says Jeffrey Smith from the Metropolitan Police Department, Howard Liebengood, Capitol Police, Kyle D. Freytag, Metropolitan, and Gunther Hashida, Metropolitan. So these 4 were actually suicides. So it's, again, that's not true, what the media has been putting out here. And the Trump supporters that were, it says that that died during the riot, actually, one was shot, we know. Another one, Roseanne Boyland, this was a drug overdose. Kevin Greason had a heart attack, and Benjamin Phillips died of a stroke. So again, we have to actually do the research and read into this stuff now, because if you read these articles, you would just believe it, because we've always been taught not to really question it. If it's in print, if it's being said, it must be true. But these blatant lies now, we're just getting these blatant lies coming out of the media. Let's continue on with this then. So it says then, again, it's out of CNN, Trump has offered blanket pardons to 1,500 far-right extremists, some of the country's most high-profile extremists in generations, including Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Again, a little bit alarmist in the language. I wouldn't say that these 1,500 people were the most far-right extremists in U.S. history, or whatever they're trying to say, in generations. Again, it's just not true. I was reading some of the reports on this, some of the people who are actually in court. There's people that said that they, and the police actually said, so there's some that have made a statement. There's been a witness, a police officer, and the police officer has confirmed the witness statement. So some of these people were older people. They said that they got waved towards the building by police officers, and the police officer said, yes, I actually did. I didn't, it was a mistake. I was trying to wave them somewhere else, etc. So some of these people have been convicted over things that they should have never been convicted over in the first place. So it says there's a lot of these. There's some people that were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They got carried away, no criminal convictions, never been in trouble before. They didn't do anything. They either trespassed or they took photos outside. Hardly the worst extremists in generations, I would say. So again, we're getting all this alarmist stuff. Here's the number of executive orders then I've got for you, because I'm sure some of you will want to know. So this was Trump, 220 here. We'll see what he's done 80 on his second term, so that takes him up to 300. So that would put him after Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton at the moment. So 220 in his first term. So he definitely did the most in his first term, but he hasn't done the most all time, as CNN said. We've got a lot of other things as well. We've got this one out of the Financial Times. He said he's going to withdraw from the US Paris Accord. FT obviously not happy about that. We have got so many executive orders here. Birthright citizenship, we talked about. Leaving the World Health Organization. Okay, this is quite a big one then. So he said the World Health ripped us off. Everybody rips off the US. It's not going to happen anymore. He said at the signing, he accused the WHO of mishandling COVID and other international health crises. But actually, he can't leave right away. There's a clause that you have to do it in 12 months. So he said after 12 months, we're going to stop all financial contributions to his work. Funny enough, the WHO or members' representations are at Davos today. I'll see if I can get into that in another video. Because Davos, did you know the World Economic Forum is on right now, 20th to the 24th of January. It's not getting any media coverage at all. And even more crazy is none of the world big leaders are there. It said that the biggest person, I think, is Zelensky, who is there. Again, this was out of BBC. This is not me saying it. This was out of BBC. It said this year, Trump is stealing the limelight. No big leaders are there. I don't really think it's Trump stealing the limelight. I think that they're probably in damage control right now. Keir Starmer's not there. Macron's not there. A lot of these big leaders are not there. I think they're in damage control. I think they are planning and trying to prepare for all of these policies that are about to come through. And that's what I think is actually taking place. But we'll talk about that on another day. They've just released actually a lot of their big reports, the jobs report, the futuristic report, which, I always like to do videos and break all that down. There was another one, global risk report. So all these amazing, I love these reports because it forecasts the future for us. It tells us what's going to happen. All these big reports have just come out. So I'm going to try and see what I can do. If I can't make a video, I'll put it in the private community, or I've launched a newsletter now. I'm going to release it to you here on social media very shortly. I've just got about 1,000 people from the private community sort of giving feedback and things like that on it at the moment. So I'm launching a newsletter for you. Already people are saying how good it is. It covers all sorts of things from macroeconomics to finance. We got crypto in there. We got investments and all sorts of things. So that will be ready shortly. I'll let you know when it's ready. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico. Why on earth? This one surprised me. There's already a lot of Democrat. What are they? State governors who are coming together to try and they want to launch a legal bid to stop this happening. What have they got nothing better to do? I mean, changing it from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of what's it going to be? The Gulf of America. I mean, it seems bizarre to me already. It's just a name, but anyway, why people are putting so much emphasis on this, I'm not really sure. Revoking EV targets, so these are electric vehicles. Remember this 2030 target that came out? This actually came down from the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. And this is pretty much in a lot of countries who agreed to do it. That means that 50% of all vehicles have to be electric by 2030. Some countries, it's 100%, right? even though they haven't got the infrastructure. Trump said the United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity. So that's what he said there. There you go. I've just said something about China that should prove what Trump said there. He's declared a national energy emergency. And the reason he said this, he's declared this, he said, now we can do whatever we have to do to get out of the problem. And we do have that kind of emergency. So what does this mean then? Let me break it down. It means that they can fast track now all of these permits for new infrastructure that isn't green. People might call that fossil fuels if you want to use that term. It's not accurate, but that's really what we're talking about here. It's going to fast track that. Drill, baby, drill, his slogan, etc. Two gender policy has now come out. Again, a lot of upset against this. Why they're calling it racist. It says here, this racist policy. I'm not sure what gender has to do with race, but there we go, another one. Pausing the TikTok ban, so at least 75 days. People says here about Biden. Biden really made the deal, but Trump's taking credit. Okay, sure he did, yeah. Border emergency, the pardons, we've covered that. Withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. He's saying that this is a huge, big scam, and he's pulling the US out of it. What else we got? We still got a bit of time. Okay, tariffs then. This is interesting. So the whole Mexico-Canada tariffs. This was supposed to happen on day one. I didn't think it would, and it hasn't happened on day one. But now they are doing an assessment, and they're going to look at it on the 1st of February. And I'm just reading what Trump said here. Here we go. He said the reason he wants to put the 25% duties is not on imports is not due to a trade imbalance per se, but it's due to illegal immigrants as well as fentanyl crossing into the US from these borders. So that's what he's saying. He also wants to reverse the trade deficit with the European Union, either with tariffs or more energy exports. And he said this is going to create ridiculous wealth, massive amounts of income. It's going to make us rich as hell, he said. It's going to bring our country's businesses back that left us. 10 to 20% tariffs on global imports to the US and 60% tariffs on China, he says, to help reduce a trade deficit that now tops $1 trillion annually. Canada, though, has responded. This actually made me laugh when I read it. Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said that they are going to fight this, and Trump doesn't know what's coming. Okay, what's coming? Tell us. You read through and it doesn't tell you. People have asked, what is coming? No one's saying what's coming, so I'm guessing nothing's coming. It's just trying to be tough on words. But I will tell you this. Looking into some of the economic data here, Canada is the top export destination for 36 US states. Nearly $3.6 billion of Canadian goods and services cross the border every single day. Yes, not week, not month, every day. A quarter of American oil is also from Canada. So I would assume it's going to be something along those lines. That's what it is. We also had Putin congratulate Trump on his inauguration. That's going to ruffle some feathers with some people, I think. And then finally, the Prime Minister of the UK is going to be meeting with Trump in the coming weeks. David Lammy said they have a great relationship and they're looking forward to cementing it. Yeah, really. Are they living in cuckoo land? The Keir Starmer. These people that try to stop Trump getting elected and then called him every name under the sun, they've got a great relationship, have they? I think not. All right. Here we go then. Thanks so much for being online, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you on the next stream. We got a lot coming up. There's just so much news. I probably only covered 20% of all the news I've got today. So, all right. See ya.